Hi, everybody. I'm Donita Basinger, your Vice President of Membership for Oregon Trail Council, and we are here to talk about PAC success. We have Tony Westover, who is with PAC 12. Are you Cubmaster?
Yes, I am Cubmaster.
He is Cubmaster Supreme. PAC 12 is right now our largest PAC in Oregon Trail Council. Tony has lots of great ideas on how to do recruitment and run a great program so that you get lots of scouts involved and lots of families building community and do great things for our youth. So Tony, here you go.
All right. Well, my name is Tony Westover, like Donita said, and I am the Cubmaster. Just a little bit about me. My background, I registered as a Tiger Cub when I was 6 years old. And I have been registered as a scout leader ever since. So I am an Eagle Scout, and I have got 20 plus years of experience as an adult leader. However, that is not a requirement for being a good leader. It just gives me a little bit more background than probably most. So today we're going to be talking about ways to grow your PAC, what PAC 12, my PAC does that makes this a little bit maybe different or maybe more exciting. And hopefully the goal with this whole thing is to give you ideas that you can take back to your units and fire up your Cub Scout program and really make it really something special and a lot of fun, what the scouting program can bring. So I'm going to share my screen here. And okay. I've got some notes here as well while I go through this stuff, but sorry, there we go.
Will you be listening to this?
Okay, so why do people come to Scouts? That I think is the essential question to start with. And so, you know, we have our own ideas about why Scouts are involved or why families are involved, but just to put it to a poll, we put out on our PAC 12 Facebook page about why people are coming. Why did they join? So we polled about 30 families, and the involvement with our charter organization was one of the top answers, along with why we like what Scouts stands for, like the values that are brought to the scouting program. Other answers we received were activities suit my child's interest, legacy, so my family was a scout, somebody in my family was a scout, because someone directly invited me, had other friends in the PAC, and social media. So those were all answers that we received for why do they come to Scouts. And the involvement with the charter organization and what Scouts stand for is really highlighted by the visibility that we are bringing to the area, the community. So we're always trying to promote ourselves via social media. We're building excitement. We're generating interest, we're involved, we're in the community, we're wearing our uniforms, we're out in front, and we're doing things all the time where we meet. But to be perfectly honest, Scouts, besides, so we meet at O'Hara Catholic School as our charter organization. And besides the school itself and the educational part of it, I'd say the Scouts are probably the top after-curricular or extracurricular activity. There's sports and there's all the things that goes on, but there's so much involvement with the community and scouting. It's top of the list. So this is our poll. I mean, I'm not really sure exactly what we do with this information, but the one thing that we did notice that nobody answered social media or self-promotion. However, I think that all of these things in here, the charter organization, we like what it stands for, activities, all those things are promoted via those vehicles so that people can see what Scouts bring to the community and why they want to be a part of it. Okay, so the first idea, like I was just talking about, is generating interest. So visibility at the school. How do we do that? We participate as a PAC in multiple activities, including Veterans Day and Memorial Day. We work at the school and Scout Sunday. For Scout Sunday, we do community scouting for food. We are involved with, when we do the parades and things like that, we're always there in uniform and always out in front. Same thing with church activities. The PAC has participated in the past in an activity called homeless hospitality, where the PAC goes and cooks for homeless people and serves them, gives scouts another opportunity to do service. Word of mouth, I think, is probably one of the most important things that we are able to do. And my wife, who's in the Zoom meeting here with us, is probably the best at that. She has a great ability to recognize potential scouts and to go and talk to those families and tell how much of a good experience that we've had in our family, as well as the other families in our unit. Direct contact via phone, text, and email. I think a lot of generation of interest kind of ends a lot of the time with this kind of apathy, and we don't go after certain people. If we have the phone numbers and the contact information for all of these potential scouts, you know, if you have a membership coordinator or even me as a Cubmaster, you know, I'm calling those people. I'm sending emails and I'm sending texts. Don't forget, you got a meeting tonight. I hope to see you there. Things like that, that the personal touch and the personal invitation is really key to generating that interest and getting those people involved. And social media, not necessarily a PAC Facebook page. I mean, PAC-12 does have a Facebook page that's a private page just for our own families. But using individuals to promote scouting in general. You know, my family is super involved with scouting, so we do a lot of scouting things, and that ends up being a lot of scouting pictures on our Facebook feeds or whatever. And that ends up generating a buzz. People see the activities we're doing. Oh, wow, you know, the Weebillow's Den, they went on a 3-mile hike, or the Bear Den went fishing, or whatever it is. You know, people who might be sitting at home thinking, I don't know how to do those things, can recognize that Scouts is an avenue to go do that. So use those individuals to really promote what we've got going on. And, you know, uniforms, swag, you know, Pac-12 has got a pretty awesome logo, and we use the Pac-12, you know, as in the Oregon Ducks, NCAA Pac-12, and we generated this logo off of it. And while that's like, you know, maybe not a big deal, it's a cool logo, and the Scouts and the parents, they love wearing the swag, whether that's sweatshirts and t-shirts. And again, that generates a buzz of people walking around with Pac-12 stuff. And then of course the Scouts in their uniforms. You know, I told my committee years and years and years ago that they would never see me outside of my uniform. And that has pretty much held true. It's something I always wear my uniform to set that example. Wherever I go, if it's a Scout function, I'm in my uniform. And that's an important aspect, to set the example as a leader, so that the rest of the families in your unit can recognize that that's what we do here. Okay, so generating the interest, you know, we've been at the school, we're reaching out to people. Maybe you went to a back to school night, or, you know, COVID makes everything weird, of course, but, you know, that's neither here nor there, I guess. We can still make ways to reach out to families, whether that's via Zoom or the kind of the more hands-off direct contact with phone and email. So generate that interest. Next step, so you got the interest going, you got to get them hooked somehow. Getting them hooked has got two components to it. Number one is it's got to be fun for the kid. Kids vote with their feet, meaning if it's fun, they're going to come back. If it's really fun, they're going to leave something else that they're doing to come to Scouts. So it's got to be fun for the kids. And it has to be organized for the adults. So it's got to be worth the adults' time. It has to be organized and well planned, and it has to have a clear purpose. So those two components, if it can be fun for kids and it can be organized for the adults, that will hook the family. That's not super easy to do. And so as a Cubmaster, sometimes my role is to be able to talk and have fun like a little kid, and then turn on the adult part where I'm able to talk intelligently and clearly about my expectations with adults. And the ability to go back and forth is something, if you've got that, you're golden. But that is the main thing. So if we can be structured yet exciting, that's what we're looking for, specifically at PAC meetings. So I've seen other units where people kind of roll in and they kind of mill around. Maybe there's not really a whole lot of stuff going on. Maybe there's something going over here, kids are playing, but there's no real clear structure to the meeting. At a Pac-12 meeting, for example, when you walk in, there's a gathering game. That's right out of the PAC meeting guides. So there's a gathering game going on. There's seating set up. There might be a clear front where there's like a table with awards, and you've got the posts. You know, it's definitely a front stage front. And there's things going on, but it's clearly structured like something's coming. Then the meeting starts, everybody sits down together. We run through songs and opening ceremonies and things like that, which I'll get to in a minute. But it's got a clear structure, and we got to make it fun. So I'm going to give you the example of our last PAC meeting we just had. It was at O'Hara Catholic School. We did it outside because of COVID. We're not allowed in the building yet. But there's a covered area. So you see the lighting is kind of weird in these pictures that I've got. So the October PAC meeting was one that was focused around the Great Oregon Shakeout. It happened to be on the same day as the Great Oregon Shakeout, talking about emergency preparedness and earthquake preparedness. And so this guy right here in his yellow suit is actually my dad, and he is a member of the Community Emergency Response Team. So at this at this PAC meeting, the gathering game was a Halloween carnival run by the Bear Den. And so they had little things set up that the Scouts got to do, and you know, win some candy and throw balls at the whatever, and things fell down, and it was just stuff to do as people were showing up. And we did the opening flag ceremony. So we had the flags, the Scout oath, the Scout law, prayer, and we always sing a song. My dad here was the special guest. It was quick. It was to the point. You know, these kids, they are sitting in class all day. They might be sitting at home playing video games all day. I mean, who knows? They don't necessarily need to sit a whole lot. So, and we don't want them to, they get squirrely, especially those tigers or kindergartners. So if you're doing a special presentation, quick and to the point. Then we had time to build emergency preparedness kits. So each scout left with the 6 essentials. We had an award ceremony and a Bobcat ceremony. And we had a closing ceremony, including our Cubmaster's Minute. And this whole thing took about an hour and a half. You know, the ceremonies were not, what am I trying to say? They weren't like thrown together at the last minute. Everything was planned out. So every aspect of this was planned ahead of time, was thought through, materials were purchased, you know, all the awards were ready to go. When I got to this meeting, along with my helpers, it was very clear what everybody's roles were. And we were able to just hit it and roll with it. Here's a couple other pictures from the night. My dad talking. This is us as we start to build our emergency kits. Me handing out some supplies. The thing is that while there's costs associated with these things, you know, there's lots of stuff we can get for free too. I mean, you just got to start reaching out to people. And for example, I was able to get cinch bags from Oregon Trail Council for something, and then I was able to get some other parts and pieces from some other people. And so there wasn't a huge cost to putting these things together. But they all left with an awesome little emergency preparedness kit, which they were super happy to have. Okay, so why do I bring all this up? So when we're recruiting and we're trying to get more families to come, they need to be invited to normal PAC meetings. I think that is one of the main keys that we sometimes miss as unit leaders. So they come to normal PAC meetings, normal events, invite them to anything with other scouts around. And that is not what I meant to say there. But recruiting is not a one-time meeting. It is an all day, every day, always be recruiting type of thing. So one of the main examples I like to give is my wife. When we go to church, for example, we'll maybe see a new family who walk up the aisle at one point and they've got a scout age kid. And the first question is, oh, look at that family. I wonder why they're not in scouts. And so we go talk to them. The same thing with kids at school, you know, have people invite friends, get people to come to normal PAC meetings. And again, if your normal PAC meeting is fun and organized, then we're going to hook those people. And the other point that I showed there is show who you are and don't apologize for it. You know, I run a PAC at a Catholic school. We are a Catholic unit. We have high expectations for people, and it's lots of fun. And I don't apologize for that. It's not something that, you know, if it's not for you, it's not for you, I guess, to a certain extent. But if we can get hooked with the organization part of it, then everything else goes with it. Now PAC-12 does run a come and see meeting in the spring. We used to call it a spring roundup, but now we call it a come and see meeting. And essentially at that meeting, we've got families that are invited. Again, they're invited all year long, but they're invited via direct emails to the school, phone calls. We ask scouts to come to that meeting with a friend, and they get special treats. Sometimes it's Pokemon cards, sometimes it's something else if they bring a friend to that meeting. And at that meeting, the scouts go and they're off doing activities with, you know, pre-arranged adults, or potentially den chiefs or something like that. And the adults stay with me and we go through a parent meeting. So we run 2 separate programs with that. Again, going back to the fun for the scouts and organized for the parents. The main thing is when we hold these things, we got to be prepared with schedules, applications, and details. If we can be prepared with that stuff at that recruiting meeting, then when we actually have them register, that will make everything so much easier. So I'll give those families packets that have a whole bunch of information in them. And maybe I don't get a whole bunch of people signing up that night, but at our registration night, that's when they start really flowing in. But the most important thing, if you're going to run a specific recruiting meeting, is to get the contact information from whoever signs up, or for whoever shows up, excuse me. So you might say, oh, we had 25 people come to our meeting. It was great. Well, that's great, but do you have the information to go reach out to those people again? You got to get the contact information when you start talking to people. So Pac-12 runs, kind of like I was saying, we run normal meetings as our recruiting nights. And then we have a very specific registration night. That registration night is called our launch party. We use a little rocket launcher things and build rockets and all sorts of fun. The main key is to be organized. Adults go and they fill out the paperwork, and the kids go and they start building those rockets. When they show up for that, one of two things is handed out. The scout or the family is given this packet if they are a returning family, or if they're a new family, they get a different packet that has the registration, the Boy Scouts of America registration stuff in it. These packets, I know the Oregon Trail Council can help put those packets together for units. This is one that I've taken and kind of done my own stuff in it, but it's got description of what we need tonight. It's got the fees. It's got a roster worksheet. It's got a t-shirt order form. It's got a family talent survey, a uniform checklist, information on Scout Book, our rules of conduct. It has the first few pages of the Bobcat thing so they can get started on it right away. It has the applications, both youth and adult. And probably most importantly is our schedule for the pack. And that schedule runs through July 15th, 2022. That's how far out we're planned currently. And the pack schedule along with the den schedule are probably the two most important things that parents want to know. They want to know what the time commitment is and how much it's going to cost. If you can give them those two pieces of information, again, it shows how organized you are. And with all this information, you get primed for recharter. So that roster worksheet, you got all your information down there. You're able to get any changes of address and things like that. And we award people who complete the paperwork. So it's a launch party. It's kind of themed for a NASA or whatever party. So we reward with astronaut ice cream. But we make it fun too. So there's music and displays and costumes. It's a party. Now, I know I'm running late on time here, Danita. I'm sorry.
You're doing great. You're doing great. Lots of good information.
There's lots of stuff here. I'm trying to slam through it. So we have we've generated the interest. Now we've got them hooked. They've registered. They filled out the paperwork. How do we keep them involved? I think the number one thing is to set expectations. What do we expect from families? I'm always surprised when I hear units who say, well, we've got 20 people on the books, but only 10 show up. I'm always stunned by that because that is not what Pac-12 does. We've got 39 kids, I think, on the books, and I'd say probably 35 show up to PAC meetings because the expectation is that you're there, unless you're sick, of course, or maybe you've got a conflict, but the expectation is you go to all the meetings. Build traditions. So my wife and I were talking about this a little bit as we were brainstorming this presentation and talking about the traditions we've built. We've got this one thing we call human hungry hippos. And it's always done at the April PAC meeting when we do crossovers. It's the last meeting for the Webelos 2s before they cross over into scouting, Scouts BSA. And I don't think we could ever change the fact that we do human hungry hippos on the night of crossover because it has become such a tradition that scouts look forward to and families look forward to every single year. And it's a blast and kids have a load of fun at it. And they know that it's coming too. They get really excited for it. So build those traditions, whether those are ceremonies or specific things that you do in your back. Host lots and lots and lots of events. We participate in pretty much everything. Scouting for Food, Memorial Day, Veterans Day. We try to promote anything that the council is doing, Webelos World or Rendezvous when they have it. all those type of things. We'll do all that stuff. And in addition, we do lots of outdoor activities and things too. The PAC can and should host things that families might not be exposed to otherwise. So if we can make our PAC meetings really fun and exciting, they'll come back. So for example, we've had the Eugene Police SWAT team come with their Bearcat to one of our PAC meetings. We had a ballet dancer who was an Eagle Scout. I've ended up talking to him and found out he was an Eagle Scout. He came to a PAC meeting and showed his physical routine and what it was like to be a ballet dancer. It was awesome. And we also had a member of the Army come, and they, both the ballet guy and the Army guy both made the Scouts all do push-ups and kind of do their workouts, which was hilarious. And I think that the ballet dancers regiment was a little bit harder than the Army guys, I'm just saying. But it was a couple of good meetings. And something that the Scouts are not going to be exposed to otherwise, most likely. And really, we can do outdoor activities all year round. Camping as a family multiple times during the year, snowshoeing and sledding during the winter months, hikes, all sorts of stuff we can do outside. All right, so we're going to generate that interest, get them hooked, and keep them involved. And it all comes down to leadership. Okay, so before we finish here, I'm going to go through 3 things really quick. The 3 steps of great leadership is to create a clear and common goal. So I want you to think of a wedding. And when you are walking into a wedding, you got the bride and the groom, and you got the priest or the pastor, and you got the flower person, and you got the wedding planner, and you got the band, and you got the groomsmen, the bridesmaids, and they're all running around. They're all trying to get stuff dialed in. And it's kind of chaotic, but they have a clear common goal of a great and beautiful wedding. And that's one of the reasons why that is going to come together, is because every single person knows what the goal is. We talk at Wood Badge about creating a vision. That's the same type of idea. If we can create that vision in Cub Scouts, Cub Scout leaders specifically, all the rest of this stuff follows through. The vision of the Boy Scouts of America is to prepare young people to make ethical and moral choices over their lifetimes by instilling in them the values of the Scout Oath and Law. That's a lot of words for raise your kids to be good adults, in my opinion. And that's what we're trying to do in Pac-12. That is the common goal. So, embracing servant leadership. Tell you a quick little story about a woman named Agnes. Agnes was born in Yugoslavia in 1910, and she grew up and she was pretty well off. She had a good life, but she had a calling to serve God. And so she decided that she was going to become a school teacher. And she thought that she was going to be serving God through her schoolwork. However, one day when she was walking along, she saw a person who was dying in the gutter. And that person was cared for by Agnes. She felt such empathy and such maybe pity for this person that she cared for that person until they died in her arms. And she realized that the way she was going to be able to serve God is to care for the poorest of the poor. Now, Agnes, moving forward, became known as Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa, on the streets of Calcutta, served thousands and thousands and thousands of poor people. And by her example of servant leadership, 100% service, she had 3,000 women in 500 different countries join her in her mission of service. By showing that service to her fellow men, fellow humans, she was able to recruit a team of people who were also there for the service of others. And lastly, great leadership is saturated in humility. So it's not about the leader getting the awards. You know, it's fun to put stuff on my uniform and things like that, but it's not about me at all. How much extra can you accomplish when no one is out there for themselves? And it is a lot of hard work, but your kids are worth it. So that is my presentation for this evening. So I'll open it up to any questions or comments about what I've kind of shown there. And yeah, anything you'd like to say.
That was awesome, Tony. Anybody have questions?
Well, Tony, I just have a observation, and I'll pass it along and for you to consider. I have no authority whatsoever to recruit you, but I can report that in the council roundtable planning meeting after the council roundtable on Tuesday this week, and the council roundtable chair is McKay Lindsay in the Chimtimony district. One of the presenters for Cub Scouting, Wendy Keller, mentioned that she has a son who's gone on to Scouts BSA, and she was looking for a successor to help in those roundtable breakouts. In roundtable, there's been 3 breakouts for cubbing, not always well populated because of the number of cubbing breakouts. I think it was for cubbing, Weeblos and Cubmasters. I go to the Scouts breakouts, so I'm not entirely certain, but I think Wendy handles the Weeblos breakouts. So I just throw that out there because I think you have something to offer, even if it were just as a guest for one roundtable night for cubbing, to present to the whole council, where I think we had about 50 people in the entire meeting the other night, what you presented tonight, so more people could benefit from it.
Absolutely. I'd be happy to.
Yeah. And like I say, I think this would have to go through McKay Lindsay, but sure. I think there's going to be some
no resistance. There will be no resistance to having Tony come and speak. Yeah, if we could have Tony go and speak personally at every PAC in the council, we would do that. But apparently he's a little busy to make personal drop-offs. But I know that Rob is recording this. We will be sending this out to all of the PACs. Hopefully their key 3, and if they have a new membership coordinator, can see this and get some great ideas. I mean, it's putting into action all of the things that we know need to be done. You need to build community, you need to be visible, the kids need to have a good time, the parents need to connect with each other. I think we've been missing a lot of those things the last 2 years, and making the effort to get people together and for families to help each other raise kids is awesome. Yeah, Tony.
Yeah, if I could just say as well, you know, the COVID has really provided a lot of difficulty for all units. Mm-hmm. And I think the time of using COVID as an excuse to not hold meetings is over. Mm-hmm. There are ways around it at this point. You know, we can't meet inside. It's rainy, you know, it is what it is, but we meet outside, we wear masks, we do our thing. It's fun and it's exciting. You know, as adult leaders, as unit leaders, we need to offer the program. If people are not comfortable meeting in person yet, that's up to them at that point. But as leaders, we got to do the program.
Yeah, we're finding the units that are doing things and inviting the public and having events, even if it's something as simple as a bike ride or ice cream in the park or something. People are showing up. They're excited. They're bringing their whole family. They're bringing their friends. So all you have to do is have events and do some good follow-up, and it will happen. We've got packs with more kids than ever. Yes, Alexandra.
I just wanted to add, and this was something I mentioned to Tony, and he said he kind of didn't want to touch on it, but since you sort of mentioned it, I think I will. One of the things that was really important to us when Tony took over as Cubmaster, we had a newborn at the time. We actually didn't have a Scout-aged child. It was a year before our oldest was able to join, but he joined to be in a leadership position for our nephew. And a conversation we had very early on was, if this is not family friendly, it's not going to work for us, because we have really little kids at home and this is a lot of time, and I'm not going to just not see you or the kids. It's just too much. And so Pac-12 has made an effort to be very welcoming to families. So to that end, our summertime activities in particular, we do a family hike. We do a family camp out. We do a scout night at the M's for families. And everybody knows, if you have to bring your 3-year-old to a pack meeting, you're going to have something to do at that meeting. You know, it's the tiger den, the bear den, the wolf den, the Weeblos 1s, the Weeblos 2, and the siblings.
Yeah.
And that's how we run those meetings.
Yeah. And that's what gets people connected with each other. And the kids all grow up together, and it's a lifelong connection that they make. So the units that do that are very successful.
And we've had a lot of siblings join because of that. Because, you know, it's like, you know, Reed Sutton is like, my brother's a scout and I can't wait to be a scout. And now I'm finally a tiger and I can't wait. Or even, you know, we had a family who had an older sibling who joined as a Weeblos too, because his younger brother was in it and he had fun. So I think
people are looking for that. I mean, there's very few silver linings of COVID, but people have figured out what's important.
Yeah. Well, I think also so many sports is, you know, swing in and drop your kid out the door and leave and come back. And this is something that you can get out of the car.
Right. And it's connections, it's family connections. And if you have the whole family involved, then it's much easier. You know, a lot of packs are saying, oh, we have no leadership. We don't have anybody stepping up. You know, they have 1 or 2 people running everything. If you get the whole family involved and they're all there and they're committed, you're going to have a much easier job getting people to step up for volunteer positions, because it's what their whole family does.
It's not as hard to delegate the snack lady role. If you're like, I'm already standing in the back anyway, I can hand out.
You already know the people. Yes. This is wonderful, Tony. I appreciate this. Anybody have any last minute comments? Because we're trying to keep within our time frame. I know this will be valuable to other units. Please reach out to your DEs if you need help with any of this. We have new marketing materials that we're going to have for the whole council, pop-up tents and feather flags and flyers and brochures and things to make it feel more fun when you're doing an activity outside, and get attention if you want to participate in local events, in parades, in a farmer's market, and trunk or treat activities. The council has lots of things available to help you make this successful. So if you need ideas or help, just reach out to one of us. And we're going to wrap it up. Thank you so much, Tony. Thanks, Alexandra. Thank you for everybody that came. And keep on scouting.
Let's do it.
Thanks, guys.